Hey bros, I'm Frank. This is another episode of Versus. In this episode, we're covering the Air Warriors Brute versus the Nerf Elite Rapidstrike. Definitely a pretty fun comparison. Let's start out, of course, with the similarities. Both of these are fully automatic, flywheel, magazine-fed blasters. Their stock capacities are also similar with 20 and 18, but they have interchangeable magazines, so, it's the same, kind of, because you can use other gear. Comparing capacity on magazine-fed blasters is odd because you can always just put in new mags to change the capacity. But to find out which one reigns supreme, let's focus on the pros of each, starting out with the Air Warriors Brute. First pro of the Brute: AA batteries. Much lighter, much smaller, much cheaper. The Rapidstrike runs on C batteries, which are much heavier. Having AA batteries is definitely a convenience factor. Not everybody has that drawer with C or D batteries, but most people have a drawer with a ton of AA and AAA batteries for all your remotes. Definitely pretty convenient because if they go down, you can keep nerfing. Next pro of the Brute: rate of fire. This one shoots quite a bit faster in rate of fire, or darts per second, compared to the Rapidstrike. In a full auto roll, when you just want to spray and pray, rate of fire is pretty important. And of course, we are comparing these two blasters in unmodified form. Next pro of the Brute, which is both a pro and a con: it does not have a rev trigger. Focusing on the pros of this feature, it's much easier. You can hand this to somebody and say, pull the trigger and it will work, and they can't really screw it up. And then once you get good with it, you can hold down halfway to get up to max RPM before you start firing, and it's not that difficult to learn. When I hand a Rapidstrike to somebody often just pulls the trigger, which is a normal reflex. Not many people know you have to push two triggers at once, and then they end up jamming the blaster or do something stupid with it. Much easier. Brute, the Rapidstrike for dummies. $5 a Rapidstrike fanboy just got butthurt. Heyo! Those are the most important pros, in my opinion, of the Brute. Let's go over the pros of the Nerf Elite Rapidstrike. First pro: it's a Nerf brand blaster, so everything works a little bit better, and I've mentioned this in other Versus episodes. The magazine goes in and out a little bit smoother. The magazine itself feeds more reliably. Everything just works like a Nerf blaster ought to. Not a big deal to some, but it's definitely worth pointing out, and I definitely appreciate it. Second pro: tactics, bro. Man, this is super tactical. Tactical rail up here, two on the side, one underneath, front nozzle. Tactics all over the place. I mean, tactical adjustable stock. Oh, adjustable, modular. Oh yeah. Rapidstrike's like, what up, Brute? Where are your tactics? Oh, where are your rails? Oh, nothing can be attached to you. Boring, boring. Perhaps it's gone too far when Franklin starts personifying the Nerf blasters to speak. Who cares? Tactics! Next pro, the Rapidstrike, which is also a con: the rev trigger. Having a dedicated rev trigger is a lot easier to some because first, for aftermarket mods, you can have, two completely separate buttons to do two different switches. And it's also nice to be able to feel the dedicated rev trigger when you just want to rev and then fire. It's a little bit easier. Of course, for some. It's not really for dummies, but you can do other stuff with it. It's just very different. I, for example, would prefer having a rev trigger instead of a halfway down pull, but that's just my taste. Those are the pros that are important to me for the Nerf Elite Rapidstrike. So which is better, the Rapidstrike or the Brute? In my opinion, the Brute, which contradicts what I said in my review of the Brute, but keep in mind this is in unmodified form. The stock rate of fire in running on AA batteries is a big deal to me. In unmodified form, it's a lot more convenient, it's a lot more fun to use because of that quick rate of fire. The firing velocities are very similar, and this uses the Nerf Elite mags, so you can just interchange them and shoot Nerf darts all day, every day. If this had proprietary magazines, it would not defeat the Rapidstrike, but since it can take Nerf mags, I like the Brute. I know, right? Then the Rapidstrike's all like, "Et tu, Brute?" Maybe the wrong type of nerds out there. Somebody got it. I know. I see you, Greg. Hey, high five. Oh, you got the joke. Boom. Nailed it. You the man, brah. If a Greg just waved his hand at the screen, you are the real MVP, bro. This is a little bit of a complicated Versus, though. In unmodified form, I'd pick the Brute, but I don't really use these things unmodded that much, so because of that, if you mod, I would pick the Rapidstrike, and that's really because the Rapidstrike shell is a better platform on which to build a modded blaster, in my opinion. But they each have their merits, and hopefully I pointed out the pros and cons so you can do the Versus in your own head for your different playstyle. Because of course the Versus series is just my opinion on which one's better, but these two, sort of a mixed review, but for the sake of the show, the Brute. That's this episode of Versus. If you have a blaster or topics you'd like to see compared, leave a comment in the section below. I'm Frank, thanks for watching, and as always, stay tactical.